Hey friends, before we step into tonight's quiet journey through the past, let me softly remind you of something. If you enjoy these calming bedtime histories, I'd be so grateful if you could gently tap the subscribe button, give this video a like, and leave a little comment below. It truly helps this cozy channel grow, and it lets me keep bringing you these slow, soothing stories for your nights. Thank you so much. Now, let's settle in together. Breathe deeply, relax your shoulders, and allow your mind to drift back. Back to a time before glowing screens, before humming heaters, before the world felt so fast. We're going to visit winter as it was long ago, when the cold was not something you could banish with a switch, but something you lived with, endured, and adapted to every single day. The first chill of winter nights always carried a weight. You can imagine yourself standing at the edge of a village road, centuries ago. The sun already gone behind the trees earlier than you expect. There is no buzzing of streetlights, no cars passing by, no quiet hum of radiators hidden in the walls. The air is sharp, your breath rising in faint, smoky clouds, and the sky deepens into a velvet blue. In that moment, you feel the rawness of the season settling over the land. For the people of the past, this first arrival of winter was always a reminder of how closely tied their lives were to nature, and how fragile comfort could be. You might picture a small cottage made of timber and stone, its roof slanted under the weight of thatch, its windows shuttered tightly against the wind. Inside, the hearth glows with a faint orange fire, not roaring, not grand, but steady, the kind of fire that needs constant attention. A child might rush to the door, pulling it open for just a moment before a parent scolds them to close it quickly, because every draft is precious warmth lost. You realize how different the rhythm of life becomes when warmth is not guaranteed, when every ember, every spark matters. The first chill did not only touch the skin, it touched the mind. In medieval villages, in Roman towns, in early modern cottages, the cold meant something more than discomfort. It meant the slowing of work in the fields, the uncertainty of food supplies, the drawing in of families into close quarters. It meant longer nights where shadows stretched and time seemed suspended. You can almost feel how the cold pressed against the walls, how the darkness slipped inside, as if it were another visitor. Imagine yourself wrapping a rough, wool cloak tighter around your shoulders. The cloth is scratchy, heavy, yet it holds in some of the warmth your body fights to produce. You pull the fabric close under your chin, listening to the distant creak of trees swaying in the icy breeze. Outside, the ground begins to freeze, small patches of frost collecting. On the edges of wooden fences and on the stiff blades of grass, step by step, you sense how the land itself hardens, how it resists. For families in earlier centuries, the first chill was also a signal. It told them to prepare, to gather wood before the snow fell too heavily, to bring animals closer into barns, to check the stores of grain, salted meat, and dried vegetables. There was no later when it came to preparation. Delay could mean hunger, even disaster, and so, as you let your mind drift deeper into this past, you notice the quiet, practical rituals of survival begin to take shape. The chopping of wood becomes a daily rhythm, the stacking of logs a kind of reassurance. The careful patching of roof and door keeps the cold from sneaking in. But beyond the chores, beyond the struggle, there was also a kind of intimacy to those early nights of winter. Picture a family gathered near the hearth, a faint candle flickering on a table, shadows dancing across the walls. The parents speak softly, their words blurred by the crackle of burning wood. Children curl against each other, their eyelids heavy. drifting off as stories are told. In those moments, the cold outside makes the inside feel more precious. Every ounce of warmth is shared warmth, every flicker of firelight a fragile treasure. You notice how time itself feels slower, without the endless distractions of modern life. The night stretches long, but instead of glowing screens or buzzing devices, the quiet is filled with soft voices, with the scratch of knitting needles, with the simple act of mending clothes or repairing tools by firelight. Your mind settles into this rhythm, calm, unhurried. The first chill has drawn everyone together, has created a cocoon of necessity, and, strangely, of peace. The cold was never just an enemy. It was a teacher. It reminded people to live in rhythm with the seasons, to respect limits, to hold close to what mattered. As you stand with them in imagination, watching your breath fog the air, you understand how much strength and patience it required to face winter, nights without the easy comfort of central heating. And yet, in the stillness, in the hush of early winter evenings, there is also beauty. The stars above shine brighter without city lights to dim them. The silence feels deeper, almost like a blanket itself. And though your hands might be chilled, though your breath might sting your lungs, there is a strange comfort in knowing that everyone, family, neighbors, friends, faces this together. Winter was not something to be solved. It was something to be endured. And in enduring, people found connection, resilience, and an appreciation for the smallest, simplest forms of warmth. So, as you lie back now, listening to this story, imagine the first chill not as a punishment, but as an invitation. An invitation to slow down, to gather close, to notice the fire, the breath, the shared human spirit, the cold whispers at the edges of your senses. But within, you feel calm, safe, and ready to drift into the long night. When you let yourself drift further into this old winter world, your attention slowly turns to the homes themselves. You notice how different they look from the modern houses, and how their very shape and substance were designed not for decoration, but for survival. The walls are thick, heavy, and built with purpose. Some are made of stone, others of timber packed with mud and straw, but all are meant to resist the sharp edge of the cold. You run your hand across a wall of rough stone, feeling its chill seep into your skin. These walls are not warm in themselves, but they serve as guardians, holding in whatever heat can be gathered inside. They are like barriers, not perfect, but strong enough to slow the bite of the wind and keep the frost from creeping too quickly across the room. In castles, the walls could be several feet thick, massive blocks of stone stacked together. In cottages, the walls might be simpler but still dense, layered with clay and wattle to shut out the drafts. Every layer mattered, because every small bit of trapped warmth meant an easier night's sleep. The heart of the home, though, was always the hearth. You can imagine it now, a wide, open fireplace carved into the wall, lined with soot from years of use. The flames flicker, smoke curling upward toward a chimney, or a simple hole cut into the roof. The fire is not just a convenience, it is life itself. You see a pot hanging from an iron hook, swinging gently above the flames. Inside, a stew bubbles quietly, thick and slow, filling the room with warmth as much from its scent as from its heat. The hearth is where families gather. The closer you sit to the flames, the more you feel alive, your fingers tingling as the cold melts away. Step just a few paces back, though, and you notice how quickly the chill returns, creeping in from the corners, from the floor, from the walls themselves. It is as if the fire carves out a fragile circle of comfort, and everyone competes for a place within it. Children shuffle close, stretching out their hands, while the older ones are asked to fetch more logs or stir the pot. You realize that the fire was not only warmth, it was light, too. With no electric bulbs to fill the room, the flames painted the walls with shifting shadows, alive and moving. Every flicker gave shape to faces, to tools, to the objects of daily life. The hearth was the center of all activity. Cooking, mending, talking, even praying. Without it, a home was only stone and wood, cold and empty. With it, there was life. Think of the effort it took to keep this fire alive. Before nightfall, someone always checked the woodpile. Logs were split, twigs gathered, bundles of kindling stacked neatly near the hearth. Fire was not taken for granted. Losing it meant fumbling in the dark to spark new flames, often with flint and steel, a process that could take patience and practice. Many families guarded their fire through the night, letting embers smolder under ashes so that in the morning they could be coaxed back into flame. A glowing coal was a treasure, carefully preserved, passed from day to day. As you picture this, you also notice how the house itself was arranged around the hearth. In a great hall of a manor, the fire might sit at the very center, smoke rising upward into a high ceiling, escaping slowly through vents. In a small peasant's hut, the hearth hugged the wall, its smoke often escaping poorly, leaving ceilings darkened and lungs filled with soot. Yet, in both rich and poor households, the fire commanded respect. Life orbited around it. The thick walls trapped what heat the fire produced, though they never erased the cold entirely. On harsh winter nights, frost might still gather on the inner edges of windows, a faint sheen of ice reminding you that the outside world was always pressing in. You imagine lying close to the hearth's glow, wrapped in layers, hearing the faint whistle of wind squeezing through tiny cracks in the door. The walls shielded, the fire fought, but winter always made its presence felt. And yet there was comfort in this design. The heaviness of stone created a sense of safety, a feeling that you were sheltered from the storm. The hearth gave not only warmth, but a sense of continuity, a daily ritual that carried people through the longest nights. The sound of crackling wood became as familiar as a lullaby, and the glow of flames, a constant reminder that even in the darkest season, light could always be kindled. As you sit with this picture in your mind, you may notice how the simple act of building and maintaining a hearth reflected human ingenuity. People did not conquer the cold, they negotiated with it. Thick walls slowed its approach. Fires gave brief victory over it. Together, these small defenses created a bubble of life in a season that might otherwise have been unbearable. And so, you leaned back in thought, feeling the imaginary warmth of flames against your face, hearing the quiet crackle in the silence of the long winter night. You realize how every stone laid, every log gathered, every flame tended was not just work, but survival. Without thick walls and stone hearths, the chill would have swallowed whole villages. With them, humanity carved out small islands of comfort, enough to dream, enough to hope, enough to endure until spring returned.